Welcome back to Let's Talk. I know how difficult it is to fully accept people's limitations, so let me give you some examples of where I bet you're already pretty good at doing this. By focusing on these examples, it might help you to see the path toward applying it to this harder person. Like I mentioned in the main video, one of the easiest has to do with age. We're pretty comfortable that different aged children are at different developmental stages, and therefore they have varying degrees of responsibility and control for their behavior. So your expectations of a 2-year-old are very different than that of a 12-year-old. You understand the difference in their abilities and in their control. You easily mentally account for that, and you're able to withhold judgment. So similarly, consider how you would avoid judgment of, say, an elderly person with severe dementia. They might say and do some fairly bizarre or even hurtful things, but part of you knows how to put that into its context. Or consider someone who's heavily intoxicated. In that state, we understand to take their behavior with at least a grain of salt. Again, we have a mental framework that does help us to see when someone is in control or not. So lastly, think about someone in the midst of a psychotic episode, trying to injure themselves. We don't just say, oh, well, that's their choice. We understand that something there is out of their control, and therefore they deserve our compassion and protection. So I hope you can begin to see that there are lots of times where we are already pretty good about understanding people's abilities and when things are under their control or not. So these more extreme cases can become the easier ones to build this skill around. Gradually, you'll be able to apply this to the more difficult people or situations, where the context may just be a lot more subtle. What I try to remind myself is that most of these behaviors are all on a wide spectrum, from the most unhealthy to the healthy. And if I was blessed with the right genes and environment to be on the more healthy side, I should be grateful for that and humbled by that. If someone is closer to the unhealthy side of that spectrum, I can then find compassion for them. So, I know it's a lot to think about, so please practice with all of this, discuss it below, and let's talk.